Some have asked me, how far do I have to go with the repairs on my equipment? Well, that's an easy one, as far as you're willing to go. So if all you want to do is get it running and not touch any other items, then that's your choice. I mean, you already did the hard part in getting a non-running mower running again, so why go any further? Well, the short answer is your reputation and repeat business. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this Troy-built lawnmower. And the problem is that we got it running again, but if we want to get some really good money for it, we're going to try and make it last as well. So how are we going to do that? Well, by doing the rest of the maintenance to it, that way we can use it in our ad. I know this is just a push mower and the profit on it isn't as much as a self-propelled one, but to be able to ask a premium for it, doing the maintenance would be one way of doing it. The other way would be to make sure this mower looks as new as possible by cleaning it and doing any touch-ups as needed. But before we get too far into this project, we want to record as much information as we can about the mower from these stickers, just in case we need to order any new parts or to even find used replacement parts. So what's the plan for this one then? Well, we still have to sharpen the blade and change the oil and air filter, which are going to be selling points of the ad. But because of the age of this mower and to help ensure that this engine will be easy to start whether hot or cold, we need to check the valve clearances. Now, according to the owner's manual, this is something that needs to be done every so often. But what I've discovered is that the first time you inspect it, it'll probably need to be adjusted. However, all the inspections after the first one will probably show that no adjustments will be needed. And if I had to guess, this engine's never been checked, so I think it's quite overdue. Now, the last time we had this engine started, we used it until it ran out of fuel, and it's a good thing we did as well. That's because we're now able to see all the debris that was floating in the gasoline, which is now collected at the bottom of the fuel tank. We'll just collect that debris using a vacuum, that way we won't have to worry about it interfering with the fuel system in the future. But do we really have to do this? Not really, but I'm choosing to since we happen to notice it, and we can easily take care of it. So what if we choose to skip this step? Well, if you do, you don't have to worry too much since there is a fine mesh screen at the bottom of the fuel tank. So if you don't choose to do this, I'm perfectly fine with it since it is your project. Next up, we'll finally tackle the dreaded valve clearance inspection, but before we do, I'm going to lift the front of the mower up into the air. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want any remaining oil to drain back into the engine so it won't make as much of a mess. This only takes a few minutes and it could keep you from having to clean up an oily mess, which I don't enjoy doing. Now obviously the reason I know this is because years ago I really didn't care, and after taking the valve cover off, I'd have quite the mess to take care of. So if you feel like experiencing that situation, then by all means give it a try, but don't say I didn't warn you. So I'm choosing to take the recoil and cover off the engine, and the main reason why is to make rotating the engine just a bit easier. You could of course choose to use the blade to help rotate it, but I don't like doing it that way. So after closing the brake handle, we're now able to rotate the engine. However, what you'll realize is that you still have to fight the engine compression. This might not be a problem for you, but for me, I don't want to have to fight it, so to deal with it, we'll just take out the spark plug. But this is not the only reason why. That's because we'll also take this opportunity to inspect the spark plug as well. If you're the type to replace spark plugs every year, then you can just replace it, but I don't typically replace them unless there's a reason. Now, this is not going to be a video about how to read spark plugs, but this one looks just like it should. Then I'm going to use my 25 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge to make sure the air gap is about the same by sliding it into the gap. But it turns out it's just a bit loose in that gap, so the gap must be bigger than the thickness of my feeler gauge. And instead, we want that feeler to just barely drag in the clearance, so I'll give the spark plug a couple of taps on the table to close it up. Of course, if you tap it too hard, the gap could become too small and you'll find yourself in a cycle of opening and closing that gap. So just use light taps and eventually the feeler will do what we want it to do and just barely fit in that gap. And with the spark plug gone, the engine is now extremely easy to rotate, which means we can now remove the valve cover and get to our inspection. This particular valve cover does hide a strange problem, and that is you don't know what kind of gasket is sealing it to the engine. Now sometimes the gasket is made out of paper, while other times it's made from a rubber material that might have a tendency to fail right after the first time you take it off the engine. So as you can tell, the valve cover seems to be stuck to the engine, and that's because it's the gasket's fault, which means this one is the paper one. That means we've got to be extra careful not to damage it too much, otherwise we'll have to fix it or replace it. But after taking it off, come to find out there's quite the dent in the cover from the mower being pushed into something hard while they were using it. Now it's not the worst I've seen, but while we've got the cover off, we might as well try and take out that dent. Unfortunately, I'm all out of lead shot bags to help me do this, but it's just a lawnmower and not a race car or an airplane. Next, we'll put the engine on top dead center where the piston is at the top of its travel on the compression stroke. So I'm using a screwdriver to help locate the piston in the cylinder, and I'm watching the arms to tell when it's on the compression stroke. This will allow us to check the valve clearances on both of the valves at the same time without having to rotate the engine. Now I like to set my clearances to 5/1000ths of an inch, but you're welcome to use a different value if you want to. We'll then slide the feeler gauge into the clearance and see how it fits, and it should just barely fit. But as you can tell, the feeler gauge is getting stuck because the clearance is much too small. We'll then do the same for the next clearance, and sure enough, it's the same problem. This of course means we'll need to make adjustments, but out of curiosity, I would like to find out what the clearances are. And after a bit of trial and error, it turns out that both clearances are 25/10,000ths, which is technically ever so slightly out of spec. But since we're here anyways, we'll set them to my preferred 5/1000ths of an inch. Now to be able to adjust the clearances, we'll need to turn the adjusting nuts, but we'll need to loosen the jam bolts in the middle first. Just make sure you use the right size bit when trying to break the bolts loose, otherwise you could damage it. Now to help break those pesky jam bolts loose, you can break the adjusting nut loose as well. But just be careful because you can very easily break off the bit in the jam bolt, which is going to be another problem you'll have to deal with. But now that both jam bolts are loose, we'll then be able to turn the adjusting nuts, and we'll start with the top one. We'll then carefully slide in our 5/1000ths feeler gauge into the clearance and then turn the nut until the feeler gauge almost gets stuck. Now this is not tough to do, but my advice is to not overthink it and just let the feeler gauge do the work. And once you think the adjustment is where you want it to be at, tighten the jam bolt while keeping the adjusting nut stationary. However, I would recommend checking the clearance once more to make sure the setting doesn't change while tightening the jam bolt. I know it sounds strange for it to happen, but from what I've seen, tightening the jam bolt can affect the setting by a small amount. Of course, with the engine on top dead center, it means we don't have to rotate the engine to work on the other arm. We'll just do the same process here like we did on the last one, including checking the clearance after tightening the jam bolt. There is the possibility that the setting won't change, but checking it afterwards is still good practice. Luckily, this one is still at the same setting, so we can call this bit of maintenance done and move on to the next part. But what could the next bit of maintenance be then? Well, anything you do to any part or system on this mower to help it work better could be considered maintenance. That could be as simple as replacing the air filter, cleaning and lubricating the recoil, the cables, or even the wheels. You don't have to spend hours doing this, and even a half-hearted effort still counts as some maintenance. But here's a bit of advice. When replacing the spark plug, try using a brand you've heard of before. That's because unbranded spark plugs from overseas seem to have a habit of breaking or becoming unreliable over time, so I'd stay away from them if possible. And while we have the recoil assembly off the engine, you can also clean and lubricate it as well. However, be careful what part you spray, because if you apply it to the wrong part, it could cause it not to work like it should, because it's happened to me before. But if this does happen, just use some brake cleaner to remove the lube that you applied, and it should get it working again. So what part of the recoil should you spray a lube on? I'd only clean and lubricate the return spring, but it's up to you if you choose to do that. Also, make sure you use a very thin lubricant for the spring, because if you use the wrong kind, it could hurt more than help out. Another tip is to only use ethanol-free gasoline in your mower, but if you can't get anywhere you live, try using an additive to defend against the ethanol. Now, one of the selling points in my ad is that the air filter is brand new. However, I only replace it when I know someone's going to come and buy it. But in the meantime, we'll use the test filter in its place, just so long as it's not too bad. So the engine's been running for the last several minutes, and it should be good and hot. Let's see how it starts back up. And as you just saw, the engine started right back up while hot, which is one reason why making sure the valve clearances have to be in spec. So if your engine starts while it's cold but not while it's hot, I would check the valve clearances first. So while the engine oil is good and hot, this will be a good time to drain out the old oil. Doing this while it's hot is best, since it'll help get out as much of the sediments from the bottom of the engine. And by the looks of this oil in this pan, it looks like it hasn't been changed in a long time. And because of this, I'm quite sure there's still a lot more sediments at the bottom of the engine. Now to deal with it, we could do another oil change, but instead, I'm going to put a solution into the engine to help flush out the remaining sediments. And the more times you do this, the better it is, but it's up to you if you choose to do this. Most would never consider doing this, and to be honest, I can understand why. But I will let you know that I only do this when the oil looks really bad like this one did. But I have found mowers where it looks like the oil has been changed before, and when I do, I don't flush the engines. But as you can tell from this flush, there's still some sediments in the engine, so it might benefit from another flush. However, even doing this once is more beneficial than if you never did it at all. And the very last item we need to address is of course putting fresh oil back into the engine. However, this is when you can make a huge mistake. These newer engines don't hold as much oil when compared to the old ones, so be careful not to add too much oil to it. Now because of the way these engines lubricate their moving parts, having too much oil in them can affect how well it works. But I will admit, having a bit too much oil in the engine is still much better than not having enough. All I'm going to say is try and get the oil to the full mark the best you can and you'll be much better off. Now because the new oil is really hard to see on the dipstick, I'd recommend just letting it sit there for several minutes then read it again. I know this might take patience, which I have a short supply of, but in the end it'll pay off. So after using the mower a couple times, I've confirmed that it's very easy to start and use and more importantly, reliable. And besides needing to put in the new air filter, this mower should be ready for sale, at least in my opinion. That's because in some viewers' eyes, I've gone way too far to make this mower a sellable item and just the bare bones minimum should have been enough. So my question is, would you ever go this far to fix and flip a mower for money, or is just getting it started good enough? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.